Hello, I have a question for you. What do you think is the best thing in the world? You know the phrase, if it's too good to be true, it probably isn't? I was wondering if there's something in the world that sounds too good to be true, but is actually true. And whatever the answer to this question is, must be the best thing in the world. So I came to the conclusion that the best thing in the world must be dogs. Because they really are too good to be true. I mean, look how cute they are. They really are women's, not men's, best friend. But this video isn't about the best thing in the world. This video is about the second best thing in the world. Women with abs. So this is what this video is about. And it's also the reason why I even wanted a resin printer, because I thought that the filament printer probably isn't capable of printing the details needed to make a doll that has abs. There aren't that many, if any, female ball-jointed dolls with muscles. This is exactly the reason why I'm happy that I'm capable of making my own dolls. The character that we are making in this video is my character named Alicia. She is, in fact, the protagonist of the comic book I'm still working on. When it comes to her personality, there are similarities between us but also differences. For example, she also has, just like me, ADHD, but she is an extrovert and I'm an introvert because the universe knew I would be too powerful as an extrovert. So as always, I always like to print a face first, and this is also the reason why we are starting with the face up. Just like the other dolls, I also make concept art for this character. And when it comes to sculpting their faces, I obviously try to make them look as closely to the concept as I possibly can, but sometimes I don't quite get it right. For example, when it comes to Kiana, I still think that I like her concept art face more than her doll face. And I oftentimes look at her doll face and feel like maybe I should change it to make it closer to her concept art. When it comes to Lilu, I actually like her doll face and her concept art face equally. But one flaw with her doll face is that I think she looks a bit too young. She definitely has baby face syndrome. However, with Alicia, I had exactly the opposite. Usually I like the concept art face more than the doll face, but in her case I actually like the doll face way more, that I actually added the concept art to look more like her doll. I did not give her 3D lashes, because I already liked what her face looked like without them. And I was scared that if I glued them on, that might ruin her face up. Oftentimes when I glue on some lashes, there's still some glue residue that is very visible, and I hate that. And I don't think that Alicia is this type of character that would wear a lot of makeup anyway, if any. This is also the reason why I didn't use any micro glitter in her face up. When it came to her wig, I tried something different this time. First of all, I learned from my mistake last time and bought some elastic band that was close in color to the skin tone of the doll that I'm making, in hopes that it will not be as visible as the elastic loop on Lilu's wig. This time I also tried to sew them together differently, because every time when I make a wig, I obviously sew the wig cap together, but in the process something happens that the wig cap always kind of shrinks and becomes smaller. I think that when I sew on the hair width, that the way I sew it on makes the fabric crunch up so that the wig cap doesn't fit over the head anymore. So I decided to sew these elastic loop together in a way that I hope will prevent that. So did my way of sewing these elastic loop together this time prevented it from happening? For some reason, no. It still happened. I don't understand. What do I do wrong? Like, Lilu's wig is still top tier, even with this very visible elastic band. But the other wigs, they are like, no, we are not staying on this head. You better get some Velcro. And that's exactly what I did. Like, all the wigs that I made, they need to have Velcro to stay on the head. Even Lilu's wig. But the difference is that Lilu's wig isn't depending on it. And this is also exactly why I'm saying it now. This wig is not my best wig. I mean, it's okay. At least it gives you an idea of what I was trying to go for. I was trying to go for this retwist lock style. Does the wig look like it? Well, it's good enough. It might not look exactly like it, but it looks close enough that you at least get the idea. That wig was such a struggle. Everybody always say that short hairstyles are always more difficult, and they're so right with that. Her hair is not even that short, and yet still, it was so difficult. My biggest issue was that I was trying to make these locks the same way you would make them on real human, when in reality, getting this look isn't as difficult as I thought it was. I just needed to have a different method of making them. Instead of making twist locks, I should have tried to make twist braids. And that's what I did, but off camera. I think one of the other issue with this wig is, you know, these type of hairstyles have these sections that are divided by a hairline. And this wig doesn't really have that, even though I try to achieve this look. That's why I took some needle and thread and I tried to create this hairline section, but I don't know, it looks more like she's wearing a headband. Oh well, I tried my best with this wig. So I'm now done with this ugly wig, and her full body is now printed, and now you can take a good look what her muscular body looks like. I gave her some tattoos, but I didn't film it because in all honesty I didn't put that much effort in these tattoos as much as I did with Lilu's. I just wanted her to have any type of tattoos. Eventually I probably will fix that. I made her some pants. I used the same pattern that I used for Lilu's pants. After I was done sewing these pants, I started to paint them. I wanted these pants to have a blue gradient. At first I simply painted them directly with the blue color, but then I decided to paint white first and then blue. I did this to keep the paint layer thin, so the fabric wouldn't be too stiff. I also painted her name onto her pants, and I also gave her a pocket. And then I started with her shoes this time, because honestly I don't really like making shoes, and I wanted to get over with it as soon as possible. I also was waiting for new fabric to arrive in the mail. One of the shoe bases didn't print completely, but I still used it because I thought it wasn't that noticeable. I painted the shoe bases and the snap buckle red. I used this red holographic fabric for the shoes. I made them almost exactly the same way I made the other shoes. But to make it easier this time to glue it on to the shoe base, I made a cardboard sole and I glued on the upper, I think that's what it's called, around this cardboard sole. I used contact glue for that. I also glued on the front part of the shoe onto the cardboard sole. And then I glued this on to the shoe base. Usually I use eyelets for the shoes, but this time I simply cut some holes in it, because I thought that would give me the look I was going for. The next thing I made for her was her crop top. This was pretty simple and easy, but I made one tiny mistake. You will see it if you pay attention to it. And then I made the most complicated part of her outfit, her collar jacket. I used this specific fabric that it took me ages to find. I used this fabric for the clothes for old and new Lulu, but it was so difficult to find. I was looking for a faux leather that was smooth and had no texture, but most of the faux leather fabric that I found were all textured and way too thick. But I wanted a very thin fabric. But I couldn't find it, and it drove me crazy. Because I have the Shadow High doll that has exactly the fabric that I was looking for, but I can still find it. I know it exists, but I can't find it. Until I found this raincoat jacket that I have. And I realized this jacket has exactly this fabric that I was looking for. So I was searching for raincoat fabric, and then finally I found exactly that fabric. So if you're also looking for this specific fabric, this is what you need to search for. I really need to learn what different types of fabrics are called, because it makes it easier to find them. I made her sleeve way too long, and I had to cut them shorter, and I glued on the cuffs back on with contact glue. This jacket is lined, but lining jackets is very difficult, and this is why I use glue in order to finish the jacket. I also glued on some pockets onto her sleeves, but I later had to sew them on because they were falling off. I also made her a cool necklace, and with that the doll is done. Alicia's outfit is really this type of outfit where I feel like it's probably not everyone's cup of tea. It's very out there with its bold colors, but I really like this combination of blue and red. I think that these are the universal, it's the protagonist color. And yes, her wig does look a bit weird. Her wig technically has the same issue as Kiana's wig, but Kiana at least has long hair, and that distracts from the flaw of the wig. But Alicia has short hair, which makes them more obvious.